It's wild to think that we talked to this guy like 2.5 years ago. And we'll get into that because a lot, I think, has changed in his life during that time. And he's made a lot more music and some good music at that. He's a country rocker and songwriter. His latest single, Miles, is out now. Let's welcome in Austin Snell. How you
What's
doing?
up, man? I'm good, dude. Just, staying busy. This is our busiest time of the
Well,
year,
I,
so
I appreciate you.
we're trying to get sleep where I can.
Well, I appreciate you, spending a little time with us. This is bar conversation, so hopefully it's a relaxing conversation. And you, you, I
Yeah,
always start
absolutely.
out with this. What are you drinking tonight, or at least what's your go to drink these days?
I'm drinking a Miller Lite right now at the moment. It's just what I had in the fridge. This is my writing room that I kind of turned into like it's my basement in my house. So we turned into like a studio writing room. So I got my own fridge down here for the guys that come over and write with me. So we keep it stocked up. But I'm usually a Michelob guy personally. If I'm drinking beer, I don't drink a whole lot of beer, honestly. I drink mostly just
Well,
whiskey if I'm
then
drinking.
that's perfect
So,
because I always try to match up, a whiskey with my guests. Sometimes easier said than done. I don't know, a little High and Wicked with kind of what you do just sounded like it fit you. So a little High and Wicked bourbon tonight for me.
yeah, man,
So do you
absolutely.
have like a go-to bourbon then that you drink when you're out and about on occasion, or what, or just just something good?
Honestly, dude, if I'm out and I can drink whatever I want, um, I'll usually drink Gentleman's Jack. But on my rider, we have just regular Jack Daniels. So we have a bottle of Jack in the green
I
room
like it.
at
I
all
like it.
times.
Nothing wrong with that. And you talk about you're staying busy these days. I want to know, have you been able to get that bass boat out of the driveway yet and into the water?
Dude, we took it out. This is actually a very, very
Oh
sad
no.
story. Um, I'm sure, I guess obviously you've been following along with the whole thing. I bought this boat probably 2 weeks ago now. And I grew up, going fishing with my dad. And so I grew up on boats and stuff. I just never owned one. So this is the first one I've ever bought for myself. And I bought it new from Bass Pro 2 weeks ago. And as I was saying earlier, this is our busiest time of the year. So this probably wasn't the best time to buy a boat. Um, but so I bought it and then I just kind of had to let it sit in my driveway for 2 weeks. And we finally got the chance to take it out, dude. And I shit you not. We were out there for about 3.5 hours, and there's like a break-in period that you have to have on these boats. And so we were just kind of cruising around, doing whatever. We were fishing some coves and whatnot. But we were out there for about 3.5 hours. And we were in a cove, and we were heading back. I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, "Hey, you ready to go home?" And so we started cruising out of the cove with the trolling motor, and we hit like probably 7 to 8 foot of water. And I turned the motor on, and we get to scooting out of there, and I see a little branch sticking out of the water, and I'm like, "Oh well, let me go this way." So I trimmed the motor up, turned back towards the middle of the lake, and we were going out, and it felt like we hit a uh, like a
Oh no.
skyscraper. Hit it, dropped, like stopped us on the dime. Couldn't do 2.5 miles an hour to the boat ramp. It took us 45 minutes to go
Oh
200
no.
yards. This is the first time I've used this thing, dude. And thinking the whole bottom of the motor is just going to be ripped to shreds. We pulled it out, and it was just the prop had, got screwed up. But I definitely broke it in.
Quite
So
literally.
literally
well,
broke it.
it
But no, man, I got it fixed today, and I'm excited
well,
still to
well,
have it.
hopefully, Mother Nature will
Yeah,
cooperate, your schedule will cooperate, and you can get back out there sooner rather than later. And
yeah,
I know you got the bass boat, and I saw this on your socials as well. What happened to your '09 Silverado? I got to know.
man. I've caught so much flack for that uh,
I was
since
gonna
I
say,
put
see
that
what
song
happens when
out,
you
and I
put it
got a
in
new
a
truck.
song.
I know it. I know it. Yeah, you don't think about that, do you, when you're writing it? But no, I bought myself a new truck. Probably, I mean, probably right after we spoke for the first time. It was like a couple years ago. Um, but my girlfriend wrecked my old one on the interstate and just tore the whole back of it off. So I was forced into buying a new truck, which I'm excited to have it. It's so much more of a stress free ride because that other one, I mean, I didn't even know. That's the one I moved to Nashville in. Like I moved to Nashville in this white old Silverado that I bought in California when I was stationed out there. And so that truck, drove me in a U-Haul trailer all the way from California to Georgia, um, and all the way from Georgia to Nashville. And I mean, it was on his last leg anyway. So it's, she put it out of its misery for sure. But yeah, that's what happened to it, man.
I
I
was
got
gonna
me a
say
new truck.
it's got a
Still
good story to
Silverado
tell,
though.
in the truck graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah. But dude, you would not believe how many DMs and comments I got about that. As soon as I posted about it, man, like here I am excited to have my new truck. And like I posted and they're like, oh, you're fake for doing that, dude. You said you'd never
Well,
replace it. I'm like, bro, why can't y'all just be
I
excited for me,
didn't mean
man?
to. I didn't want to have to replace it, but it's in a couple
Right.
pieces and it doesn't work anymore. So,
Right. Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
you just, like I said, you never know what's going to happen in life, and you talk about it got you back and forth because you were in the Air Force, um, and
Mhm.
did you really spend? You talk about that truck barely making it. You spent what your last dollars for a little while on a guitar in the Air Force, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, we weren't when I first joined the Air Force. I mean, they were obviously giving us housing, free housing, and they give us food and stuff. So I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of expenses to be paid when I was in. But I mean, on top of that, we were getting paid maybe $600 every 2 weeks when I first joined. Um, so yeah, that's when I bought my guitar. But yeah, when I bought it, I mean, I've definitely had to learn how to be more financially stable since I got out because I was so used to just being able to blow all my money and then know I was getting paid the next week. But yeah, man, I spent literally my last $400 on a guitar while I was stationed in
Would you say it
Charleston.
was a good investment at least?
So I would say so. Yeah, it's working out so far. I don't know. Talk to me in 3 years, and I might have a
We'll do
different
this again in
story.
2.5 years. We'll see where you're at again, and we'll
Yeah,
just have a check in every
yeah,
every so often.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and you talk about buying the guitar. Did you grow up in a musical family? Like, I mean, or were you just kind of someone that was just gravitated toward it?
No, man. I mean, I don't know of any of my family members that were musically inclined. My mom loves karaoke, but I mean, everybody loves karaoke. So, um, no, not really. I do like vividly remember like growing up and always being drawn towards music. Um, and I would just like, I don't know, like I remember in middle school, like we had to do this presentation in middle school, of like our favorite artist and like say like why we liked them and like, what it was about their music that we enjoyed or whatever. And all these other kids are just like, throwing it off in the wind. Like they just put this random PowerPoint up or whatever and don't even want to do it. And dude, I went so into depth on this thing. And that was like kind of the first time like I remember being like, oh, I'm definitely more interested in music than like my peers are. Because I would just freak out over like little lyrics and songs or like little minuscule guitar parts or melodies. And I would just tell my friends, I'm like, yo, do you hear this like lyric in this song? They're like, yes, it's another song. So, I mean, yeah, from an early age, I knew that I loved music a lot. But I mean, never at any point did I feel like I was going to take it and do this
Well,
with it.
and is
So,
it true too that you guys had like four CDs that you would kind of cycle through on in the
mhm.
car?
Yep, my dad was the rock guy, and my mom was the country gal, and um, I mean, between the two of them, we had about four CDs collectively. And my dad's two was, I think it was like Nickelback and Three Doors Down, and my mom had a Alan Jackson and a Jason Aldean CD. Um, so, I mean, it kind of makes sense, I would say, with what I was raised on. So, um, yeah, but I don't know. When I got in middle school, I was listening to everything under the sun. I mean, I grew up in a time where like in middle school, CDs were kind of not a thing anymore. It was all like iPods and like, illegally getting stuff off of LimeWire. And so like I mean, I had a playlist that ranged from so many different genres, and I feel like that's kind of what's cool about in today's music is just like it's so um, genreless in a way. All those kids that grew up that way are just making music now, and it's just like so hard to put them in a corner. So I think it's super cool. Some people hate it, but
Well,
I think it's pretty
I'm one
sick.
that enjoys it because I'm like you. I grew up. I think I'm a few years older than you, but I grew up in that time where iPods. You could hit shuffle. You could go from Eminem to Alan Jackson to the Beach Boys to
Yep.
whoever. If it was good music, you had it on there. And I meant to ask this:
Yep.
who'd you do that middle school presentation on? If you went so in depth, who'd you do it on? Can you
Oh
remember?
gosh, man. I think at the time, I was listening to
Uh-huh.
Chris Daughtry. So I think I did the
And
presentation
he
on
would have
Chris
had a good one,
Daughtry.
depending on
I
what
want to
if it
say.
was post Idol. I mean, yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It was post Idol. Yeah, I would.
yeah.
I think it
He
was
had a
Chris Daughtry. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, dude, I went on this whole like lengthy thing, like had bullet, 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 and nobody else did that.
well. I mean, clearly you had an eclectic taste. So, like, what artists kind of maybe made an impact stood out to you as you were growing up, and even to today?
Yeah. I mean, I would say out of all of them, I would the person that made me fall in love with like the aspect of being an artist and like playing shows, and their music, I would say probably Jason Aldean. Um, my mom loved him, and well, it's between like Jason Aldean and probably Keith Urban. One year for Christmas, I got a Keith Urban live CD, and I don't know if you've
Mm.
ever seen him live, but he's like one of the best performers there is in the world. Um, and for sure in country space. But I got a live CD or DVD from him playing some show somewhere, and dude, I watched that thing front to back probably 100 times. Um, and so I mean, between them, like I mean, Jason Aldean's music and like what his sonic sound is kind of I feel like what made me feel like I could do that and just take it a couple steps further.
I was gonna say
You know?
he brought in the heavier guitars and everything, and I feel like you added maybe
Yeah,
a pinch more rock into yours, and we'll get
yeah,
into the.
a lot more angry.
There is, but it works. And you talk about you grew up in the outdoors on the lake fishing. What impact did kind of growing up in Georgia, and just kind of that lifestyle that you got to live have on you? Because I'm guessing, in a sense, you kind of grew up in a little bit of a country lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely affected me. I mean, growing up, like I mean, I lived in Dudley, Georgia, which is has a population. Last time I checked, it was like probably
Big town,
600.
big town.
And I mean, we literally had one stoplight, um, and everybody knew everybody, and everybody knew what everybody was doing, and so I mean, I grew up, just kind of trying to find entertainment on my own. We were outside all the time, not much to do in Dudley, Georgia. So we'd ride the golf cart around and go fishing, get into trouble, and um, get out of trouble because the mom knows the sheriff of the town. It's like the whole cliche little thing. But I actually graduated high school in Kentucky. We moved up there my sophomore year of high school, so that's where I graduated from. Um, and when we moved to Kentucky, like I had never had to meet, new friends before. Like I grew up with the same friends from birth. And so that was like the first time I ever had to like, reintegrate myself into like a different, group of people. And kind of fell into the wrong group of friends and like made some really, really bad decisions in high school and which kind of like preemptively made me join the military. And like I, knew I wasn't going to college because I barely graduated and was just making horrible decisions. Um, and then I lived in Cali for like 4.5 years. So that's where all the story and like more of the sad stuff probably comes from, and like more of like the deeper, meaningful lyric probably comes from is that portion of my life. And the country side of it comes from growing up in
I was gonna
Georgia.
say, and
So
Kentucky, yeah, a little bit of country there too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
uh,
absolutely,
well, and
yeah.
when you first started getting into music, I know you were just kind of learning covers at first. Kind of doing what pretty
Mhm.
much everyone does. When did you start writing your own music and kind of crafting what became your sound?
Um, well, those are two very different things. Because when I first started writing songs, they were horrible. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. But yeah, like you said, I kind of started with covers, and I have a pretty short attention span. So I got pretty bored with just learning songs that were already written. Um, and so I just kind of started doing the same thing I was doing with covers with my stuff that I was writing. So I was, posting those on Facebook and Instagram, and TikTok hadn't quite came along yet. And then by the time I'd kind of gotten my feet wet in writing songs, that's when TikTok came along, and I started posting those on TikTok. And that's kind of how I built my early on following was on TikTok. Um, which people talk a lot of crap about TikTok, man, but it helps people out, and like it's never been, easier to
Hmm.
get your music out to people, and which I also think is a really cool thing about music is just like it's not being gate kept anymore. It's the good
Yeah.
stuff and the bad stuff is coming out, Um, but yeah, I was definitely didn't know what I wanted to do with my writing. It ranged from so many different sounds and different even ideas of writing, and I didn't really find that until I moved to Nashville. And honestly, when I moved to Nashville, I didn't even really think I wanted to be an artist. I moved to town and knew I loved writing music and just loved creating. Like I love the creation of music and like going in and record a song and like being in every part of every instrument in the song and like telling the producer like, hey, I think this should be here. This would be really cool. And that's like what's so interesting to me is like I never moved to town to like play shows. Like that was always cool to me, but I never saw myself wanting to do that. Just because I've never really been the center of attention kind of person. Like I don't like
Oops.
to,
Right. Oops.
be in the middle of a room, everybody looking at. Yeah. And I tell people that all the time. I'm like, dude, it's so funny that I ended up in probably the worst career path that I could have chosen if that wasn't me. But no, I moved to town and like I kind of moved to town with the thought process of like, listen, I'm just going to be a songwriter unless I find some sound that I feel like is just, new and nobody else is doing it and I feel authentic. So I mean, the cards kind of just played the way they did. We wrote "Excuse the Mess," and it felt really cool, and definitely hadn't heard anything like it. And it was doing well on socials when I posted it, and so it kind of just snowballed into where we're at now. But
Well,
yeah,
and you talk about putting that music up online and things like that. Was it your mom that pushed you to start sharing some stuff out? Is that right?
yeah, yeah. I would always shoot her down though. I mean,
She
I
was
she,
persistent.
I yeah, and literally, man, I started playing music just because I was interested in it, and like going back to like I never wanted or like saw myself taking that path. So genuinely, like I picked up a guitar and started learning songs and just was bored and like thought it was really cool. And so every now and then I would learn a song and send it to my mom, and she'd try to talk me into posting it on Facebook at the time. And I always turned her down until eventually I did it one day, and then people started liking it.
Does
So
she go, "I told you so"?
it quickly. Oh yeah, yeah, she does. She does all the time. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of the way it worked, and that's it. Quickly turned into like, oh, I'm bored. I'm going to do this. To I am craving this. Like I like want like if I'm not working, I want to be playing guitar or writing something or playing for someone. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like I said, I've always been kind of like a pick it up and drop it kind of dude. I've never really like stuck to anything. I played sports in high school. I played football and baseball, and was pretty good at baseball, but just like I would get really serious about it and then I'd drop it. I'd get really serious about it and drop it. And I've kind of always been that way with things, and music has just been the one thing that I've done that like I haven't gotten tired of. So, and I even told my mom that, before I got out of the Air Force and was thinking about moving to Nashville. It was like, that's what I told her. I was like, I've never felt this way about something that I've done. And I feel like that means something,
When you're getting to
so
do something that you love
just,
every day, and you mentioned you
yep.
wanted to get to Nashville, but it wasn't a smooth journey to Nashville as you found out some interesting news a week after signing your lease in Nashville.
Yeah, man, the whole thing was horrid. It was all it was all bad, man. Like, yeah, I'll just kind of start and kind of skim through it. But I had been saving up. Like, I worked a shitty construction job when I moved back home because I refused to work on airplanes because that's what I was doing in the Air Force, and I'd just been doing it for 4 years and forced to show up to work every day. And when I got out, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with anything that flies. Um, so I got out and obviously didn't have any other skills, so I went and got a construction job and started at the bottom and um, I saved up, just enough money to pay for a couple months rent in Nashville plus the deposit. And found my roommates on a roommate app. I don't know if you're familiar with Tinder or not, or any of the dating apps, but it's essentially like that. Like it's like a roommate app that you post a profile picture and you scroll like past roommates, like potential roommates, and it's like yes, no, yes, no. And so that's how I met them. And there were these two random dudes. I'd never met them. I was on a phone call with them once before we signed the lease together. Um, And so I didn't know these dudes from Adam. They didn't know me from Adam. Signed the contract, whatever, this and that. And a week after, they found a tumor in my back that was the size of a golf ball. I mean, it was like covered my entire, spinal cord column. Um, and so obviously wasn't moving to Nashville with that going on. So I had to get a surgery and had to call them and like fully expecting them to be like, we don't know this guy. Like, just figure it out. I don't know what you're gonna do, but you're gonna figure out how to either pay us what you're gonna owe in rent, or find somebody else. But called them and they were like, yeah, we'll cover your rent until you can make it. Just let us know. And that was kind of the first God sign that I had seen for all of it. And so yeah, they literally covered my rent until I had my surgery. Did recovery for about a month and some change, probably 2 months, and moved to Nashville in May. And yeah, we ended up hating each other. Lived together for I think less than a year. But I mean, even if we hate each other, like, I mean, I'll always appreciate them doing that. So, um, but yeah, that's kind of
Well,
the short
and
story.
like you said, you didn't know what was going to happen next. You talk about writing, trying to find that sound. When we first chatted back in November of 2022, you had just released "Excuse the Mess," and yeah,
Wow, was it that long ago?
yeah,
Damn.
and well, I mean, can you just explain like how that song changed all your plans? Because you kind of talked about it, like that was the song you found your sound with, but also that song, did some things for you too.
Yeah, man. I mean, it led to a lot. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but when I first wrote that song, I posted on TikTok like I did, any other song that I would write. Um, and it went viral or whatever you want to call it, and did pretty well. And Bailey Zimmerman was supposed to cut that song. He hit me up on TikTok, and he's like, "Yo, man, I don't know if you've ever spoke to him or not, but he's just like the freaking internet Energizer Bunny." And he hit me up on Instagram. I'd never met him at this point, and I had nothing going on. So like when I saw a DM from him, I was like, "Holy crap, this is crazy." I got a DM from him. He's like, "Yo, man, I'm making my new record. I wanna cut this song and whatever." And like I said, I didn't have anything going on, so I was like, "Of course you can have this song." Like, I'm broke. I've already maxed out 3 credit cards. I don't know what I'm gonna do for next month. So please, yeah, of course, have it. Um, and asked several people, and had kind of stressed that like I like the song for myself too, and like everybody was just like, "No, dude, you got to take the cut. Like, get a cut, get a publishing deal, be a songwriter for a little while, then transition to the artist thing whenever you're financially stable, and also have more time to write and do your own thing." Um, and again, talked to mom, and she kind of just told me, she's like, if you feel like it's what you should do, and like you feel like God's telling you that, you should go this direction, then I think you should follow whatever your heart's telling you and not what everybody else is. And so I called him and I was like, "Hey, dude, sorry." Like, I mean, he had already had plans for it and like was getting ready to go record it and this and that. And I thought he was going to be pissed, dude. Like, I was like, "Fuck, I hope I don't piss him off." But I called him and he was like, "Dude, of course, if you feel like it's yours, and take it." And so I did, went into debt to record it, had no money to record the song, um, and recorded it, put it out, and signed my publishing deal um, within the next couple months, uh, and then signed my record deal January that next year. So, I mean, word of the wise, follow your heart. If your gut's telling you something, dude, like, and that goes for everything. Like if somebody's telling you to do something, but your gut's telling you something else, dude. I mean, every now and then you got to listen to your gut because there's a
Well, I
reason
was
for
gonna say
that.
it worked out
So.
perfectly. Like you said, you ended up signing a publishing deal with River House. You did the record deal. I mean, is it crazy to look back at that and think, how different things might have been had you, not recorded it and let Bailey record it, or just anything like that?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm a huge like string theory guy. Like, I mean, if one little aspect of something would have been different, like things could have been the opposite of what they are now. So yeah, all the time, man. It's hard not to. And with how busy we are now, it's kind of hard sometimes to get that time to reflect. But I feel like in the last year or so, um, I've kind of been able to chill out a little bit and like get my wits about me, and really just be able to live in the moment. That was my goal for the year. I'm not a huge New Year's resolution guy, but my goal for the year, and I told my girlfriend at the top of the year, I was like, "Listen, I want to like figure out how I can sit in the moment more and like not let things just pass me by, because especially in this career, man, and this job, like things
Mm-hmm.
can be gone like that, like you don't know when people are going to stop showing up to the shows, and like when people are going to stop listening to the music, and when people are going to stop wanting to interview you, and stuff like that. And like, I mean, you never know when it's going to leave, or like something could happen and like you not be able to tour anymore. And so I told her, I was like, I really want to like soak in every, good moment that we have this year. And I've done a decent job of it. It's hard to do it, man. It really is, when you have so much to do and so much to plan for, and like you are motivated, it's always what's next, and it's never what we just
But
did,
it sounds like you're trying, and that's half the
Oh
battle.
yeah.
And one of those things you can look back on, since we talked, you've performed at the Grand Ole Opry, done some cool shows. I mean,
Mhm.
how cool is it to check off some of those different places that you get to perform at?
It's crazy, man, and that's kind of why I brought up what I brought up. Is just like I played the Opry, and like I don't even remember it, you know. Like they don't tell you, like when you play the Opry, like when you show up, they put a mic on you and they have cameras following you the entire night. You show up and it's like, okay, walk 20 steps. We're going to get a shot of you walking up to the front entrance. And then, okay, you did that. All right, now walk 20 more steps. We're going to get a shot of you walking up the catwalk to the Opry. Okay, now walk 50 more steps inside and shake the dude's hand and like act like you're excited to see him, this and that. The entire night is that way, until you walk on stage, and then you don't get a sound check at the Opry. And so, like, part of the piece that I get with performing live is like, okay, I've tested this equipment, I know it works, but you don't get a sound check or nothing. So like up until like you're walking on stage is the first free moment that you have the entire night. Um, so it's a blur, man. It's I've definitely I can look back on it and say that I've done some cool stuff, and that's another reason why I want to just soak in the moment, because I'm sure there's some more stuff coming, and we're excited about some cool shows this year, and um, another headline tour. And so those are always, my favorite is just to play for a room of people that are there to see you. Um, so,
Well,
yeah.
another cool thing you did, last summer you put out your debut album, Still Bleeding. What was it like to put together a full project and let it out into the world?
Nerve wracking, man. So nerve wracking. I'm a perfectionist for sure. And so if you let me, I would have sat on that album for another 6 months to a
We'd be
year
talking about
before
that
I
right
put it
now
out.
instead.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We'd be talking about it coming out right now. But yeah, I was just sitting nitpick every little aspect of it, and like, does this song feel like it fits here and this and that? But again, like that goes back to like that's my favorite part of the whole thing is the creation of it, and um, writing the songs and like going into a writing room and being like, okay, I really need this song for the album. We don't have it yet. I need to write something like this. Is my favorite part of the whole process. So it was a blast, man. It was such a blast.
And you talk about earlier we were kind of talking, and you said the rougher times maybe in high school and kind of early on in life kind of maybe led to some of the
Mhm.
songwriting choices and kind of the so
Yeah.
is that always the case for you? Is it kind of always in personal details, or is it ideas, talking to seeing other things happen in life? Where does that songwriting process kind of, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, it's a balance, if I literally put out, every song that, I wanted to put out for me, it would probably be super deep and like meaningful. And because that's like why I started writing music to begin with, is to get me through things. I probably still need a therapist to this day, but I feel like, music is that for me. And so that's why I started. And like, if you let me sit in a room for, a couple months to write, if you sat me down in a room and said, Austin, whatever you're feeling, write it. It would be all set. It would be all set. So it's been a a learning curve and like a balance thing of like, okay, we need to put some happy songs that somebody can listen to, like if they're on the lake and having a good time. And I listen to those songs too, and like sometimes I don't like even realize it, but we got to have the happy stuff every now and then. But damn, do I love a good sad song,
Hey,
man.
you got to but get them a little happy and pull them right down. Give them that emotion, and it's a great experience, right, when they go to a show.
Yeah, yeah, yep,
And
absolutely.
you just released Miles, which you co-wrote. How did that song come to be?
We wrote that song. It was me, Christian Yancey, who I wrote "Excuse the Mess" with. Cody Loden, who's a good friend of mine. He moved to town around the same time I did. And Andrew Bayless, who's my producer. He produced my whole last record. So we were on a writer's retreat. And so on a writer's retreat, usually the way it works is you book a Airbnb or some sort of house around town. And throughout the week, you just have writers come in and, like, write a song at 11, and you have another write at 4. And you just stay there, and you're just like kind of circling through these dudes coming to the house. But my favorite way to do it, my favorite part of the retreat, is to have your 11 or 4 o'clock right, and then after the big scheduled right, I like to invite just whoever wants to come over. Usually like 5 or 6 dudes, and we'll just hang out at the Airbnb, have some drinks and talk about whatever, and have a fire or whatever outside, and we'll just write a song. Sometimes we won't, sometimes we will. But that came from one of those nights. I finished my writes for the day, and I texted Christian and Cody. I was like, "Hey, what are y'all doing? Come over and hang out and let's write a song." So they came over, and Andrew was deep in his. So he was our track guy for the day or for the night, and a track guy usually brings in different guitar loops or whatever it is, and or trap beats or whatever. And he was deep in the files of like what he had like even forgotten about, and he found that beat from Miles in, and me and Christian just kind of started riffing off of each other, and I think we probably just riffed that chorus just right off the rip. So it was just fun, man. I mean, every now and then it's fun to have like a fun song that's just like you know good to drink and write, and have a good time too. So the song definitely reflects the way that we were when we wrote it, which was we were having a good time.
It's a fun song, and like you said, you kind of have a little bit of everything. You've been able to release several songs here recently. One was a
Mhm.
collab with Brantley Gilbert. Where Muddy
Yeah.
Water Rockstar. What was it like to have him jump on that song, and put his touch on it?
Dude, it's awesome, man. He's like one of my favorite dudes I've ever met. He was like one of the first dudes I opened up for in Alabama. This is probably around the same time we met and talked. It was a year and a half, 2 years ago. And opened up for him at a show in Alabama. And kind of ever since then, he asked me to come on his bus and have a conversation with him. And we hung out for a couple hours and just chatted it up. And he knew I was new to the industry and new to town. And he kind of, gave me some advice. And I was going through like the whole label dance and talking to every, executive in town. Um, and so he kind of took me under his wing a little bit, and I'd been trying to get on tour with him since that conversation, dude. Because I mean, I had a burnt CD of Brantley Gilbert's first album growing up, um, and so I was a big fan already. And I kept, hitting up my team and management and booking agents, and I was like, "Yo, when are we going to get on a Brantley Gilbert tour?" Um, and just kind of started thinking it wouldn't happen, that he didn't want me on tour or whatever it was. But we ended up locking up a tour this year, and played some big arenas with him, and uh, we had kind of been talking back and forth about doing a collab, and I had sent him a song, and we were supposed to do Muddy Water last year, and something to do with the label like not agreeing on whatever with his release schedule kind of kept it from happening. And when we found out we were going on tour together, we both kind of saw each other and were like, yeah, we got to do it. So yeah, I mean, we already had the song done and everything. So this year, whenever we, got on tour, we put it out right before the tour, and we played it every night. And it was my first time playing with Flames on stage. I'd never been on stage with Flames, dude. And I shit you not, bro, I was so scared to go on stage because I didn't like know like, I'd never done it before. Like you can see the
Yeah,
taped off
don't go there.
areas where like the
Don't go
flames
there.
come out of. Yeah. But dude, the adrenaline's going like so big, and like there's so many people in this room, and like I had never played for this many people before, and uh, and I'm playing this song with this dude, and like we haven't really done it before. So adrenaline's through the roof. And so I go on stage, dude, and I'm not thinking about nothing about the Flames, bro. I'm walking on stage, and right as the song kicks off, I walk. I mean, I'm in the yellow tape, like beside the pyro machine, and it goes off right in front of my face, dude, and I almost had a panic attack. Almost went right back off the stage. But it was a blast, man. He's a great dude, and he's been a huge
I
help
was gonna say
for
he's
sure.
he's another rocker, and that Jason Aldean mold, and You talk about, Miles came out. I know you've had a few other songs come out this year. Any more new music coming that you can talk about? I don't want you to get in trouble now, but what can folks expect from you?
They might be mad at me for a little bit, but I won't get in trouble. Um, we got a lot of music, man. I got a song that we're about to start teasing. Well, you
Hmm.
said this will be out Wednesday. Um, so it'll already be teased by the time this comes out.
There we
So
go. So see,
tomorrow,
it's meant to be.
we're gonna start teasing a new one tomorrow, and we'll have that coming out, in the next little while, and another one after that, and then we'll have a little project this year that we're gonna put together and then tour at the end of the year. So all good things, man. Just keeping the music rolling. These people out here, man, they got short attention spans. You got to keep them
Well, you're,
satisfied.
you're
So
I was gonna
I
say you're
put
putting
out.
out good music, so I think they're enjoying it, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's like a balance of putting out a lot of songs, but not you don't want to have quantity over quality. So I try to make sure every one of them is at least fun or something that I believe in and authentic to me. So I feel like if I like it, man, there's somebody out there that likes it.
Well, and in addition to making the music, you get to do the fun things. Hopefully, not burn yourself in the pyrotechnics, but being on stage. What's it like to get out there, share those songs, and have people either sing them back to you or talk about them and things like that.
Yeah, it's always fun, man. And again, it's one of those things that I never thought that I would enjoy about being an artist. Like I said, I always thought it was cool to be on stage and like watch videos of dudes, like having a room in the palm of their hand. Like it was super cool to watch. Just never thought it would be me, but it's quickly transitioned to it being one of my favorite things about music. And just to be able to like because the people already know the song. They know the song, at least at my shows when we're doing the headline tour. Like the people already know the songs. So you have to like try and translate an emotion through that, that they don't get from listening to the record. Um, and it's always just super cool to I go out after every show that I play, most every show, and go to the merch table and I meet, everybody that wants to meet me and hang out and take pictures or whatnot. And um, dude, it's so crazy to hear people's stories. Like that's one of the craziest things, and especially with like kind of the lyric and songwriting that I do, and like it does tell such a deep, story that if it does resonate with somebody, then it's like usually not a good resonate. Um, and so to hear people's stories and to hear that my music had some small part of helping them through something, and it's that's kind of the reason why I got into it, and so it helps me to know that it's doing that for other people as well.
I
So,
was gonna say,
but I mean, dude, I love a good live
yeah.
show. It's awesome, especially with how high energy ours is, man. It's just like we come out full throttle, and then we play a couple of sad, slow songs, and then we play maybe one love song, and then the rest of the set's just a wave of energy. So it's a
I was gonna say
blast.
it's a great outlet for you. It's a great outlet for the fans that come to see it. And you talk about that live show for you. And I always love to ask this question. I always ask what's your favorite drink. I always love asking this one because all the answers are always very interesting. And it's what's your favorite song
Hmm.
of yours to perform live right now?
Uh, Dang,
See,
that's such
and
a hard
everyone's
question, dude.
like, oh man, that's a good one. They're all
That's
my
such a
favorite.
hard question. Yeah, I don't know, man. Damn. Uh, I would say probably "Pray All the Way Home" is still my favorite to perform. Just because it has, the rock vibe and it's so high energy and it's so loud, but it tells such a real story. And obviously that was that's been my most successful song so far. So the people usually know it, even when we're playing, an opener slot. So that was just always fun. We close our show with it, and um, yeah, but we got a lot more songs to play this year, and I'm so excited about them, dude. But I mean, it's between "Pray All the Way Home" and "Lines." "Lines" is when we strip it down acoustic, and it's just me and a guitar. And especially for the headline tour, I have like a little section of the set where the band leaves the stage, and it's just me and a guitar, and we play two or three. just acoustic songs, and that's always the one, dude. I don't know why, because that song like wasn't the most popular that I ever put out. It didn't do a whole lot. It didn't get playlisted on all the playlisting just because it probably because it says a bad word in it, but and talks about drugs, um, but I mean, it didn't perform, crazy good. But for some reason, man, when we go play shows, it's the one that everybody is like screaming from the crowd. They're always just like play lines in the middle of the set, like in the middle of me trying to play another song. They're like play lines. I'm like, dude, just listen to this one first, and I got you. I swear, I swear. But yeah, it's probably
Well,
between those
and
two.
see, I love that too because like you said, some of it is just you're getting to do something a little different with it. Another is just the songs that you never think other people are gonna love, like or it may not have been one of your favorites, or it was one of your favorites, and it's like a deep cut on a project, and it's fun to
Yeah,
see what fans gravitate towards. And you mentioned music's coming, shows are coming, so I guess what else though can folks expect from you the rest of 2025?
damn, I don't know. Maybe some bass fishing videos. I might
Cool.
start a little vlog. I don't know. I might transition to a little bass fisherman influencer guy slash country music singer. Who knows? Um, but I don't know. Other than new music and more shows and fishing, that's about all I have time
Hey,
for.
that
So
sounds like
that's
a good
about all
time
they
to
can
me. I
expect.
mean, come on. What more can you ask for?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Oh man. Well, Austin, like I said, your latest single "Miles" is out now. If you haven't checked it out, do so. And he's got some new music coming this week. It's or at least some teasing of it is coming this week, and will be out soon. And Austin, man, thanks for coming back on and sharing a drink with me, man. Cheers.
Absolutely, brother. Cheers. Good to see you again after. Damn, I could not believe it was 2 years. That's crazy.